And we found out, well, more people wash their cars and check their cars, things like oil and tire pressure and making sure the coolant's in good shape and making sure belts and all kinds of stuff are in good shape. In fact, apparently, according to a survey that was done by the Car Care Council, 3 out of 4 drivers wash their car every month, but only 1 out of 7 people correctly check tire pressure. Dan, good morning and welcome to the Car Doctor program on WROL in Boston.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well on this Saturday morning.
Yeah, not too bad. But first off, what can Abraham Lincoln tell us about tires?
Well, tires being the most important part of your vehicle as far as stopping the vehicle. Brakes will stop the wheels. Tires stop the car. They also contribute to handling and fuel economy and many other factors. So keeping them properly inflated, making sure you have safe tread on your vehicle, especially this time of year, is so important to the public.
Absolutely. You really need to just be aware of all those kind of things and make sure everything is working the way it should.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was listening to you about the people washing their cars, and while that is important in the winter to keep the salt and from eating away at the body of the car, the interior, the fluids, the running of the car is really what gets you from point A to point B. And I don't think people spend enough time or devote enough time to really keeping after themselves. And there's a lot of things they can do themselves that they don't have to pay someone to do, but it is always a good idea to have a professional check the car, especially during fall car care month, to make sure you're all set for the winter.
Absolutely. And it really does. It makes a lot of sense that you have somebody check it out. I mean, years and years ago, people used to spend, that was sort of their Saturday morning. They would get out and open up the hood and check all the fluids and make sure the car was ready and dependable. But today, let's face it, cars are so dependable. I think people have kind of forgot about doing some of the basics about, whether it's something as simple as just checking tire pressure.
Absolutely, and that's something, as the cars get more sophisticated and you open that hood, it can be kind of intimidating to go underneath there. However, there are some
when you
things,
open the hood and all you see is a big plastic cover?
There you go. You open up and say, where is everything? And but the fact is that people can be self-sufficient, and they can check things like their windshield washer fluid and their oil and their tire pressure. And it's very important that they take the time to do that, especially before a trip or before the harsh weather hits.
Absolutely. And let's talk about some of the basics. I mean, a lot of people still think that when you check tires, you get out there with the tire gauge and you read whatever it says on the side of the tire, but that's not the right number they should be using, right?
Absolutely not. Every manufacturer has a different specification for tire pressure, and people really need to be aware of. You can find it in your owner's manual, which is a great place to look. I don't think enough people open those and really find a lot of information that can help them. However, on the side of the placard of the door where they have the production date and stuff like that, they also have tire pressure, what should be in the front and rear. And sometimes it can be different, so people need to be aware of that.
Absolutely. So you have to look at that. And whether they're buying Firestone or Bridgestone tires or Goodyear tires or whatever kind of tires on the road, people still need to think, depending on the car, winter tires are something that it seemed like we didn't really think much of for a long time, but we're starting to see some rear-wheel drive cars coming into the market, and it seems as if all-season tires aren't quite as all-season as they used to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the problem nowadays is manufacturers are putting on low-profile, low-diameter tires in their car for handling and cornering and just the overall driving experience. However, because of that, they're not going to be as good in the wet weather or snow that we once had. I mean, the tires now we used to find on Corvettes or, the souped-up Camaros and things like that. But now they're on your everyday Nissan Altima, Honda Accord, Chevy Impala, whatever. So you have to understand that, with this handling feature, with this wider and lower profile diameter, it's not quite as good as it is on the snow or ice. So having winter tires is something that if you depend on your car and you're in your car a lot and you have to drive in that weather, it's probably a good investment overall.
Absolutely. And, people think about the expense or whatever it is and, the expense of changing tires, but sometimes going to a kind of plain steel wheel and some inexpensive hubcaps might be enough to, offset some of that cost, and changing the tires becomes a lot easier, although it gets a little more complicated with tire pressure monitor systems, I guess. But.
Yeah, that could be a factor there. However, you got to take a step back and say some of these rims are now $600, $700, $800. You slide into a curb or you lose control of your vehicle. There can be a huge expense. So maybe a penny save isn't a dollar earned at this time. Maybe the dollar you spend could save you a lot of money in the future. Yeah. So if you're going to hold on to your vehicle, it wouldn't be the worst thing to do to have another set of tires. And you can get aftermarket wheels. There are outlets that can handle that for you, that you don't have to spend the huge dollars that an original equipment wheel would cost you. However, if you look at it that these tires will be on your car 5 or 6 months a year, you're going to prolong the life of your other tires. So in the end of the day, are you really spending more? And how much more is safety worth? And if you look at it as dollars and cents, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a second set of tires on your car. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And some of the other things, it said in this survey that 38% of cars checked had low oil pressure. Years and years ago at AAA, we used to do these mobile car care clinics where we'd set up in a parking lot and test people's cars as they came through. And we found that number really hasn't changed a lot. I think 1 out of 3 cars we looked at, the oil was either disgustingly dirty or down at least a quart of oil. In some cases, not even showing up on the dipstick. And with these little bit longer oil changes, engines still burn oil, but people need to remember they have to pop the hood once in a while and check the oil and make sure it's not running low.
Absolutely. The intervals on oil changes, the 3 months, 3,000 miles has been expanded now with your synthetic blend oils, and you can go a little longer, but you can't go too much longer. I mean, you have to consult the owner's manual, and you have to know the condition of the oil because it's very important. And maintenance is something that, people can't afford to do all the time, but sometimes you can't afford not to. So you need to have a professional check it. You need to stay on top of it and take ownership of it where you control it, factor when you can do things. You don't have to do them all at once, but should make a budget that you can live within to get this maintenance done because overall, as you know, being in this business for many years, and I've done those AAA clinics with you, and it's eye-opening how many times people come in and you will see their the oil or the antifreeze is low, and it's incredible that this could cause them hundreds and hundreds and now thousands of dollars to repair it, just keeping up with that maintenance.
Absolutely. And just to follow your chart a little bit, with winter weather coming, inadequate cooling protection, that can either mean coolant that's turned into something that looks like lemon juice inside the car that is actually pretty acidy, or something that's not even protecting the engine at all against freezing. And, I can't predict the future. I can't pick lottery numbers, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have some days it's going to be below zero.
I think last year was an aberration, and this year we're going to pay for that in spades. But I do agree with you 100%. Antifreeze is something that needs to be tested. It's just not always the level. It needs to be tested for its protection level, the acidity, the corrosion factor, and all these things are important. And coolant flushers, if you look into your manufacturer's scheduled maintenance, is something that's recommended fairly regularly, maybe every 30,000 miles in some cars. Even the extended life that can go 100,000 miles still has to be monitored and still has to be maintained and cared for because it can still be a problem. So you need to be on top of your maintenance, and something that you should have a professional test.
Absolutely, and kind of following with the cooling system a little bit, belts and hoses on cars. 35 years ago, you would replace the drive belts and radiator hoses every 3 years or so because they're pretty well shot. Now those belts and hoses are lasting a lot longer, but the average car on the road is 10 or 11 years old now, and some of these cars are still running with original belts and hoses at the point where they're if one long trip, you could be in trouble.
Absolutely. A belt and hose doesn't conveniently break, in your driveway when you have nothing to do. It's happening on the road in the middle of nowhere, probably in bad weather when you have a meeting. Those things need to be inspected. The belts need to be inspected for any cracking or splitting. It's rubber, and it will dry out, and it will crack. Hoses really deteriorate from the inside out. So you don't always see what's going on with your hoses, but a professional will be able to look at them and tell you, hey, 50, 60,000 miles, you're pushing your luck maybe a little bit on these, we should look into doing them. And it's something that you want to be preventive with. You don't want to wait till they break, because like I said, they don't break when you're sitting home, just sitting in the driveway. Hey, I got to change my belt. It broke. It breaks when you don't want it to.
It breaks when you're on your way to go see the Patriots play tomorrow. Yeah.
And that is Route 1 Norwood.
Exactly. So kind of the tip here really is, look at all the vital fluids on the car. Make sure everything's good. Check those tires and tire pressure. Make sure the tread's in good shape. Make sure the tire pressure's in good shape. If you're having a tire problem, whether it's a tire vibration or something as simple as a slow leak, my advice has always been to go to, it's good sometimes as car dealerships are and other independent repair shops. When it comes to tire problems, my feeling is always go to a tire store. You guys are, you're balancing tires. You're looking for problems with, especially suspension and tire-related problems on a regular basis, where you tend to be a little bit more tuned in on that stuff.
Absolutely. You're a tire specialist. We see the problems. We see all different makes. Even though we sell Bridgestone, Firestone, we see all different makes and models of tires. So you get in tune of what's happening with them and how to inspect them properly. You can look at a tire, the tread could be fine. The Lincoln penny, the Lincoln head on the penny, and you can do all that. But remember, the tire is only as good as its weakest point, and it needs to be thoroughly inspected, off the ground, spun in 360 degrees, looking for punctures, abrasions, cuts, tread abnormalities, whatever the case may be. So it's vitally important to have a professional. Tires don't even get rotated enough to where they should be. Every 5,000 miles, maybe every second oil change, you should have a rotation. And they should be thoroughly inspected at that time.
Yeah, and that's also a good excuse while you got the wheels off to check the brakes and make sure the brakes
Absolutely.
are in good
shape. A little physical for your car twice a year isn't the worst thing you can do for it. It's the second largest investment most people make in their lives, and they need to take action and ownership of it to make sure it gets into the proper people to look at. And like I say, a physical for your car twice a year is important to do. And at Firestone Complete Auto Care, not only do we specialize in tires, but we're pretty much full maintenance. So any of the area of Firestone Complete Auto Cares would be happy to sit down and do a fall car care checkup for you and make sure you're all set for the winter.
And even if I'm a little bit low on air when I come in, you're gonna check my tires for me.
Every single one of us has an air gauge and a chuck on us, and they're ready to check that tire and get you on your way. If it's real low, we're obviously going to ask you to make the time to get it checked, whether it's that moment or make an appointment. But if it's low on air, we're going to ask you to come in, but we're going to set that pressure with a smile, because it's important that people are on the road with full tire pressure.
Let's face it. It's at a gas station now. It's easier to get a burrito than it is to get your tire pressure checked.
If you can even find air pressure gauge anywhere, air pressure tank in a gas station.
You're not paying $1 for to use, and it lasts for 3 minutes.
We'll be glad to check. Just pull into any of our stores, and we'll be happy to check it for you.
Absolutely. So again, if you're, if with fall weather rolling around, I encourage people to really get their cars, squared away, pre-checked, make sure they're all in good shape. You don't want to be, we at AAA, we do about 1 million road service calls a year. We do an awful lot of them in the wintertime because batteries are 5, 6, 7 years old, and they may be on their, end of their lifespan, or, maybe somebody's had a car for 10 years. They're on their second battery, and they say, I had that replaced not that long ago. Well, not that long ago. It was really 5 or 6 years ago, and it's time to at least have it tested again and see what kind of shape it's in to make sure it's going to be okay. So whether you go to Firestone Complete Auto Care or any other, AAA-approved repair facility, go get it checked out. Go get the car checked out. Look at these basic things. Look at tires, belts, hoses, fluid levels, battery. Make sure you have good wipers on the car. Just some, like you said, some basic maintenance, some basic checkup for your car to make sure it's in good shape.
Absolutely, and even, say, lights on the vehicle, the tail lights, the brake lights, the turn signal lights. Again, so many times you're driving on the road and you see these. I'm attuned to it being a car guy, but I see how many times they're out. And, in bad weather, when visibility is difficult, you need to make sure people can see you on all angles. So even getting your lights checked is very important. And a lot of those things people can do themselves.
Absolutely. Hey, Dan, thanks for taking a little time out of your Saturday morning and spending it here on the Car Doctor program.
I certainly appreciate it, and I appreciate the public service you do, because I think people need to start feeling they can be empowered to check their car and they can take some ownership of it, because while they may be turning into spaceships as we speak, there's still some things of basic knowledge we can do and public can do for themselves.
Absolutely. Dan, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
That was Dan Liberti. He is a district manager for Firestone Complete Auto Care. And whether you go to a Firestone Complete Auto Care or Sullivan Tire or any other good repair facility to get your car checked out, you want to make sure it's checked out. You want to make sure it's in good shape. The days of people doing it themselves, yeah, you look under the hood, you don't see a lot. But there are some things you can still do. The car manufacturers, as much as they've sealed off some things with your car, have also made things like engine oil dipsticks a little bit easier to be able to see and a little bit easier to pay attention to. So there are some things you can do and some things you can check, whether it's something as simple as fluid level or something as much as tire pressure, and also be cognizant of any possible issues with things like vehicle recalls as well, because you want to make sure that you've done everything that you need to do to make sure that your car hasn't been recalled. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Tom. If you would like to talk to us, our phone number is 617-770-3030, 617-770-3030. We'll be right back.
Never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw. Been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
Listeners are discovering a way to earn money. We're talking quit your nowhere job and work from home type of money. IncomeAtHomeUSA.com has come to us for listeners who want to work from home. Listen to this.
I have to tell you, it's the best decision that I ever made, because we replaced my income and my husband's income. This business has allowed us to quit our jobs, and we're both at home full-time and loving it. Best decision I ever made.
Listeners, IncomeAtHomeUSA.com is A+ rated for their business ethics. They're affiliated with a multi-billion-dollar company, and they do business in over 80 countries. No pressure. No matter your age, education, or experience, you can literally earn money on your computer from your kitchen table 24/7, either full or part-time. If you're ready to make a change and start earning money from home, go to IncomeAtHomeUSA.com now. They're even giving away $1,000 to someone just for checking them out. Visit IncomeAtHomeUSA.com. IncomeAtHomeUSA.com. That's IncomeAtHomeUSA.com.
Imagine an almost endless supply of inexpensive hot water for your home. It's almost like a dream. Even better, it's a Rheem. Yes, Economy Plumbing and Heating is your authorized Rheem dealer, offering Rheem tankless water heaters, gas water heaters, air conditioners, even solar-powered systems. And because Economy has a large storage area, they can order Rheem products in large supply, saving you even more. So relax. It's Rheem from Economy Plumbing and Heating. Call 617-433-1200 or visit economyplumbing.com. Economy Plumbing and Heating.
Make your way.
New Life Fine Arts presents its original musical, Celestial City. The story